Welcome to this month's Midstream Connect featuring the Utica. I'm your host, Heather Rosenbaum. Before we get started, I want to take a moment to thank our sponsors. The Utica is a resilient play. While the number of rigs has dropped considerably with the downturn, the completion technology and performance has increased tremendously. In fact, everything is getting bigger, from completions and length of laterals to subsequent EURs. We spoke with President and CEO of M3 Midstream, Frank Suru, about Midstream in the Utica. Let's listen in.
It's hurting it very much. The amount of activity has dropped 75–80%. But the producers are working hard to optimize their completions, their drilling techniques and completion techniques, and we're seeing much higher initial potential rates, IP rates, and along with just flatter declines than we had before. There is significant constraints, always have been. There have been many projects, I believe 18 to 20 projects that have been announced for the greater Marcellus Utica area, upwards of 15 to 20 BCF of takeaway. We're not seeing all those projects coming on, or they're coming on, but they're significantly delayed. So there is a bottleneck in takeaway capacity out of the Marcellus and the Utica both. But we're very encouraged by these new projects that are delayed yet still expected to come on. When you have a delay in the residue gas takeaway, there's obviously a decrease in the price of that commodity, and so what we're seeing is reduced activity until those takeaway pipe projects are in place. Right now, we have coming out of the open project coming out of the Utica that is up and running and moving quite a bit of gas now. There is the Stonewall gathering system that connects to the Columbia WB system that is also very much debottlenecking that Southwest Marcellus. But so we're seeing some projects coming on. When those projects come on, producers are apt to drill more wells, and therefore the processing, the gathering, compression, and processing side of things also pick up substantially.
We also talked to a shareholder at Babs Calland in the second installment in a two-part series. For more information on the state of the oil and gas industry in Appalachia, contact info@babscalland.com to request a copy of the 2016 Babs Calland Report.
I think the state of the industry is very far along from, certainly in this area, very far along from where it was when I first started, and when the Marcellus really got started in 2007, 2008. I mean, it's much more sophisticated. And I think that there are a number of innovations, very significant innovations that are underway right now that will make this whole thing even better than it first appears. Better wells, more efficient operations across the board. And I do think we're going to see interesting demand response as well. I think we're seeing it already. I mean, if you look at the U.S. Energy Information Agency, it has a lot of interesting stuff about how much gas-fired power generation is coming online recently. Like in last year was a very significant year in that regard. So I think the state of the industry is very much advanced from when it started, and I'm really. It's obviously it's an old industry in the United States. It's an old industry in Pennsylvania, but I'm talking about the so-called unconventional, the natural gas from shale. That really started, if you think about it, only 8 years ago, and look where it is now. Very significant. So that I think is very exciting. I do think there are going to be some challenges. I think there'll be a lot of challenges on price, especially as the hedges roll off in 2016. And how long those prices will stay down and who can figure out how to be effective in those prices. And those price ranges is going to be interesting. And the midstream operators, they're just going to have to make sure they've chosen wisely in terms of who they are partnering with in terms of moving gas. But presumably they have diversified their portfolio sufficiently that they're not tied to any one operator. And if that operator, and whether or not that operator is going to be innovative and successful, or whether they're going to be stagnant and ultimately unsuccessful.
Thanks for watching this edition of Midstream Connect. We want to thank you, the viewer, and our sponsors for making this segment possible. Until next time, let's stay connected.
To stay up to date on the most recent Hart Energy videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking here.